Good morning. It is another Friday morning. It's another episode of Fridays with Frank coming your way. I'm Scott Cullen, editor-in-chief of the Cannata Report. It is wonderful to be with you this morning. Before I bring out Frank, don't forget, like, subscribe, comment, and send Frank your questions. And now please welcome Frank Cannata. Hey, Frank, how you doing today? What's on your mind?
CJ and I are heading to South Carolina for a meeting of TD SYNNEX. And we went to one of their meetings last year. We also visited last year with distribution management. And then all of a sudden we get a notice or a press release, excuse me, not a notice, that Katun is now going to be a distributor for A3 MFP Fujifilm. And they're going to carry their A3 line now. And it's referred to as the Arevia lane. Now, we're going to have Kay Fernandez on, and we'll address it specifically with her about how Katun plans to go at the product or go with the product in terms of sales. But basically, what we're seeing is really when we have the opportunity to visit with these large distribution organizations, they have very capable salespeople out selling those products. And then I kind of kicked myself when the first time I came, well, stupid, this is what HP has been doing for years. Turn it over to distribution, and they had worked out how whatever the arrangement is to have their own salespeople go out. And I never understood that until one day when they launched that Amplify program, and the dealers were talking about some horrible things that the salespeople from HP were doing. And it wasn't the salespeople from HP, it was the salespeople from the distributor. So that kind of woke me up and said, okay, I got it now. And you stop and think about it from a manufacturing standpoint, what makes better sense than that? Because they're already sending the equipment to or selling the equipment to the distributor, whatever that arrangement is in terms of what do they pay when it's sold. I don't have a foggiest notion of how that works. But essentially the bottom line is the more manufacturers can get distribution organizations to do, that alleviates them of any kind of sales expense would be a big thing. Now, this could be a nutsy thing that somebody said, Frank, you woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning and you're thinking crazy stuff. This is what you have to look for. We all know that everybody's looking to improve their profitability. All right. I mean, it's pretty common practice. When you have an issue with profitability, you have to cut your expenses. Now, if you can be more efficient in terms of that product getting into the hands of an end user, so be it. Now, I'm not talking about the distributors selling directly to the end user. I'm talking about the distributors selling to the independent dealer or independent dealer type distribution for other products. And then assisting. Now, if you take a look at the way HP does it, the HP salespeople can follow up on, let's say, MPS orders, very large orders. And if they do it or have anything to do with it, they get a commission or a partial commission. The problem is on the HP side, for the salesman to get credit for it, he has to get a copy of the invoice. And that's been the big rub. How does HP compensate their salespeople properly without having to do that? And it's been a big horror show of things that have gone on. But that's just that situation. Can a way be worked out where it can be done, where manufacturers would indirectly compensate sales efforts by the distribution organizations. Now, how does that affect a dealer? Honestly, I don't know. I really, Scott, I've tried to think this out. I mean, look, I was a DSM. I know what it takes to be a DSM and what a DSM has to do. But bear in mind, as a DSM, I'm selling one product line. I'm not selling 2 or 3 or 4 other things. Now, will distribution organizations be able to do that or want to do that? I have no idea. But we have the opportunity in the next 2 or 3 days to ask that kind of question. And I can assure you, I'm going to be asking it of the people there. People like Dan Middleton, who's the VP of sales down there, who's an excellent executive. I'm sure we could have a conversation about that and see what it is that's going on in this area. Now, that aside, I don't want to be an alarmist. I don't think dealers should be concerned about this. I think the bottom line in the end, if any manufacturer wants dealers to do the job with the product the way they see fit, they're going to have to instill or install or create or monitor a system that gives the dealers the kind of support they need to do the jobs that they do. And it's very, very interesting from our perspective, because what we see with these growing $100 million dealers who represent a significant portion of the total volume that's sold to dealers today. I think we're somewhere between 40 and 45%. That's a big chunk of business by a handful of dealers. But still, there's 55 other, possibly as much as 60% still out there that doesn't have that kind of resource power or purchasing power, I should say, which is a better word for it. So I guess the best way that I can sum it all up, you have to be looking out for how things are going to change. If we can be of any help to dealers, is to be very sensitive to what can possibly go on, and then analyze it from the standpoint, is this a good thing or is the bad thing? That's my story, Scott.